Hey, what's up everybody? Adobe Masters here, and today I'm going to be showing you some of the sort of miscellaneous update items that came with the October 2017 update. So I've been going over some of the larger updates in my previous videos. However, there's a lot of little features and changes that I wanted to go over, and some of them are sort of big and some of them, are just really tiny, but I felt like putting them all together in one sort of miscellaneous video would be a good place for people to just look at some of the changes that they might have missed. So that's what I'm going to be going over today. The first one I'm going to be going over is the font menu. So whenever we create ourselves some text, so if we didn't have this graphics here or whatever, if we just, drag out some text and put in, this is text or whatever, like so, we have over here in the Essential Graphics panel, the text is created. Well, the first change that I'm going to be talking about is the font menu down here. So you'll see that this font menu has changed a lot. We actually have the ability to see what we're going to be getting before we click on it. So, we can scroll through here and just sort of compare in our mind what we are looking for to stuff down here. Whenever we find something we like, all we have to do is click on it and we switch to that text. What's really neat about this is that we have a favorites tab. So all these stars over here allow us to favorite things. So for example, if we click up here on the stars, everything we've starred will come up here. So for example, if I really like, let's go with this one right here, Pristina. If I like this one a lot, now it is in my favorites, so I don't have to search through this whole list, and especially if you have thousands or something like that, you don't have to search through your whole list to find them. You can just go to your favorites and grab it because maybe you use that one all the time. So the favorites tab is really neat, and then they have the type kit right here as well. So if you want to go look for some fonts online, you can click that and it'll bring you to a place where you can import and add new fonts from Adobe's collection. The next thing I wanted to talk about is in the libraries tab. Now we have the ability to search for Adobe stock. So for example, if I search for something like lower thirds, it now has all of these templates that I can import into my footage, and it'll allow me to, just import these and start using them right away. And then there's some neat scoreboard stuff in here. Now, these are not free, sadly. These are all going to cost you some money. You have to sign up for their plan and get these things called licenses, and then once you get all that, if that's something that you feel like you want to do, if you want to spend the money on that, then all you have to do is click the download button right here. It'll use one of your licenses and it'll save it right into your library. And then you can just drag and drop these into Premiere Pro and just start working with them right away. So if that's something that you do, if spending that little bit of money every month to get these isn't something that's bad, something that you would like to do, it is now incorporated into Premiere. Makes it a lot easier to find these things and a lot easier to import them as well. The next thing is a small change, but it kind of gives you a little bit more flexibility, and that's if we go over here into labels. You'll notice that we have 16 instead of 8 colors. So before we only had 8 colors, you can click on these to change the colors around. Now we have 16, and both labels and label default are all within the same sort of preferences tab called labels. This just gives you a little bit more wiggle room to create some sort of color sets that you want to use. So for example, whenever we go over here, if we put this into the list view like so, which is, we scroll it back right like that, you can see that there's label colors over here. We can now sort of create ourselves new colors to give us the ability to change this around. So for example, before we had those 8 default colors, whenever we went into preferences, back to labels over here, before we had those 8 default colors, and there was really only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, there were 7 different things that you wanted to change the colors of. So you really only had one that you could change something else the color of. What I mean is, let's say we had a bunch of different movies, which is that video that I had down here. So let's go and import some footage. Let's say if we have this movie right here, and you can see I changed the color for this as well. But if we had this movie right here, and maybe this is an important movie, maybe we want to change this color to something like, maybe we want to change the label to fire, but we want the rest of the movies to come in as that blue color. Well, this gives us the ability to do just that. We now have the flexibility of more colors to choose from. So we can choose a bunch of different colors for our timeline. We can have a bunch of defaults, and then 8 or 9 different colors that we can sort of color code different aspects in our timeline that, all the movies now don't have to be the same color. You can sort of move things around. Maybe there's an A roll and a B roll and you want those to be separate colors. It just gives us overall more flexibility with these more colors. And I think that that's really important. There was really no need for only 8. So having 16 in here, like I said, gives you a little bit more flexibility, lets you control your timeline just a little bit better. And then finally, if we go back over into the graphics tab, we now have the ability to if we drag this out and we create like a text right here, text 1, maybe like text 2, yeah, that'll work. So we have 2 separate elements on here. And what this allows us to do is before you could only select one at a time, which was kind of silly in the fact that, I mean, Adobe created After Effects, like this thing where you can select 1,000 different layers at once, and they didn't allow you to select 2 layers in Adobe at the same time. But now they have added that feature. So if you click here, you can either select them up here, and all you have to do is click on one and then hold Shift to select both of them. Or you can click inside of here. So if we click away, if we click on one, hold Shift and select the other, we can select them both. Let me see if Control works as well. No, it is Shift in this one. I think Control is in After Effects. But here you hold Shift to select multiple at the same time, and then you can move them at the exact same time. So instead of having to move them individually like before, you can now select a bunch of elements and move them all at the same time, which is extremely helpful whenever you're designing graphics. And since this is a graphics panel, it is very, very important that they added this into here to give us that ability. But that is really it on the sort of miscellaneous updates. There is one more update, which is the ability to sort of like toggle the project to writable or not. So if I lock this project over here, what it's going to do is it's going to lock the project for me so that only I can edit it, and then I can unlock it. And what this does is if someone else is on a shared server and they see this project, they can actually jump into the project and look at it while I'm editing it. And we could actually both edit it at the same time. However, that usually creates conflicts and sort of like merge conflicts if you're ever like in computer science and sort of you understand what that means. But basically what this does is now that we can open up multiple projects at the same time, multiple people can open up the same project at the same time as well, and we can lock and unlock that. If you want to look in more into that, I'd look for another tutorial on YouTube, because I feel like there's some people that can better explain that, especially if they already have a server set up at their business. I feel like that would be a little bit more sort of, it would show it a little bit better than me trying to like create some server and edit it myself twice, you know? So, but that is down there. That is another feature, but I'm just not going to cover it in this one. But other than that, that is basically all of the sort of miscellaneous updates in Premiere Pro that I found really interesting. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them in the comment section below or on our website at adobemasters.net. If you want to see more videos similar to this one, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I make a video every other day. And until next time, see ya.